you want to be successful? Do you want to grow your business? Do you want to dominate the day? Then you're going to need Big Skip Energy. Kyle, welcome to the Big Skip Energy podcast. How we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be with you guys.
I'm excited to have you. I know Kayla is too, because, man, I tell you what, for the first time, she knows you in person. Kayla and I haven't even met in person.
Yep. Nope. Haven't.
What?
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's the world we live in these days.
It truly is, which is lend well to our topic for the day. So getting to know you without actually meeting in person. So Kayla, please, I'm going to hand it over to you. All right.
Oh, lovely. I love it. Well, Kyle, I'm so excited you're here because if you guys aren't following Kyle Draper, then, oh my gosh, like I'll just say it, Google him, follow him, because you're doing some really big, cool, fun, amazing things. And can you tell our audience is mostly salespeople? Yeah. A lot of them are in mortgage, but can you just give the audience a little brief introduction of who you are, what you're doing, and your why a little bit, Kyle?
Sure. So I am a former pastor turned roofer. Then I built websites for real estate agents. And through that, I started educating real estate agents about social media. And then all of a sudden, here I am being called a social media expert by people. And I get to help people get in front of the camera, overcome that fear of putting ourselves out there, worrying about what we look like, what we sound like, what are we supposed to say? Does anybody care? And so I've kind of coined myself as a video marketing therapist.
I love it.
Because I spend so much time coaching people, not through the basics of video, but through the really deep weeds, these deep-rooted struggles that we have that really come to light when we choose to get in front of a camera. And so serial entrepreneur. So there's other businesses that I have that have kind of sprung up out of that. Yeah, I'm a struggling comedian, always trying to make somebody laugh.
Struggling comedian. The whole thing.
Gosh, jack of all trades, essentially. And I love that you have the claimed phrase of you're a video marketing therapist, because it's not just about what you're posting. It's truly this internal struggle that people have. Right. They are scared to take their phone and see themselves, and they get scared, and it's paralysis by analysis. They're like, it's too much. I don't want to do anything. So you've got your podcast, which is incredible. I love listening to it. You interview people constantly about what they're doing and tips and tricks. And my favorite is Ed Stulax that you interviewed him on, and his little, just copy what everyone else is doing. But what advice are you giving people? Because we're seeing such a need to get out there. Like we just talked about, Skip and I haven't met before, but this is what we're doing. What are you seeing is the biggest struggle? And what are you finding is the best solution to that struggle currently?
I think the biggest struggle is the mindset we're bringing to social media. For most of us, none of us cared that much about social media before business. We had it. Right. We used it for what it was designed for, connecting with cousins and seeing friends from across the country, watching our children grow up. Then business shows up, and business says, hey, look at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn and all those places. You can go get business there. So the problem for most of us is we've been taught that. So then the only reason we open the app is to get business. And to get business, we have to be salesy. We have to constantly be talking about our business. And so the biggest thing that I'm watching people do wrong that is cringeworthy is they only show up when they want something. And if we ever did that in real life, we would not be friends.
Not so much.
Right? If every time I saw you guys, I was like, oh, Skip, it's so great to see you, man. Have you ever thought about hiring a coach for your social media? If that's all I ever said to you, you'd avoid me. Every time you can see me from afar in the grocery store, it's like, ooh, no, I'm not going to the produce because that's where Kyle is right now. And that's what most of us have done on social media. We've created these environments that, unbeknownst to ourselves, are not inviting. They're not value giving. And therefore, we hate doing social media because I think innately deep down inside of us, we know this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad. I don't even want to watch my own stuff.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really where it starts to go bad. The other thing is, imagine a restaurant or a club or a bar, any establishment that was wall to wall, ceiling to floor, like mirrors everywhere.
Mhm.
Most people wouldn't want to go in there because most of us don't want to look at ourselves very often because we don't love what we see. All we think of are the bad parts, right? Skip and I, obviously, Kayla, for you.
That's why this
You're doing-
beard, I cover it up.
That's right. Yeah, like I cover my fatness with facial hair. And people are like, oh, bro, that's cool. As opposed to being like, cool double chin. That's not really what people say. So we all have these innate struggles.
Mhm.
And I believe that video, the moment that I ask you to record something, it is the most truth-telling mirror
Mhm.
you'll ever look into.
Mhm.
Because you look at me as the expert of something. I look at myself as the guy that just disappointed his kids, the guy that just fought with his wife, the guy that has a bill that I need to pay that's much bigger than I was ready for. And so I feel like such a fraud, but then I'm supposed to show up. And so just all this deep rooted stuff begins to uproot itself. And we weren't ready for that. And this is why a lot of us struggle.
Well, and I think a lot of people, they're going to compare themselves as well. They're going to say, well, someone's already doing it. I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
And I think most people, now you probably know more about this than us, Kyle, but I feel like
So much more. There's no way.
I feel like people think it's just going to go away. I think people are
Yeah.
like, it's going to go away. I don't need to do this now and it's going to be here and gone. But
Yeah.
I feel like the truth of the matter is there's going to be something else that comes out. But there's going to be something bigger than TikTok. There's going to be something bigger than Instagram at some point. And I feel like if you aren't getting on board now, you're going to kind of be at a bigger loss later if you don't know how to operate now. How do you feel about that? What do you think is the trajectory, the future of social media?
Well, y'all already proved that what you just said is the future with the fact that y'all never been in the same room together.
Right.
Right. So you can co-host a show
Yeah.
and carry yourselves in like, if you wouldn't have said that, I would have never assumed like y'all act like y'all don't know each other. But, and so I think like we all know tons of people that we have never been in the same room with. When you and I, Kayla, met in LA, because we'd already interacted on Instagram, because we'd already watched each other's content, like the moment we saw each other, like we embraced in a hug as if we were friends from high school.
Mhm.
That's freaking weird. Like when you think about it,
Yeah, me too.
right? Like it's so weird, but it speaks to the power of what social media is because it tricks our brains to the depth to be able to say, you're already friends with her. And it's so I think we have to understand it's only getting worse for some people, better for others of us that have embraced this stuff. Because I really believe we're just a couple years away of like, if I took, this is the lid to my candle, but imagine a couple years ago when Facebook says, hey guys, we have this new device. You just toss it on your floor and then you can pop up VR life size in somebody's living room and give them a presentation.
It'll be like Star Wars, baby.
Yeah, like all the old movies, they're all coming true now,
Yeah.
right? And so the Starship Troopers will be coming to take over our homes. And so we're just, at no point is this going to get pulled back.
Right.
And so if we can't find comfort doing it now,
Mm-hmm.
we will be dinosaurs
Mm-hmm.
that truly look up one day and go, holy crap, there is not a place for me in this world anymore.
Uh-huh.
Because of how much I've refused to embrace technology and be a part of what it offers, especially in the sales world, right? Like sales used to be such a belly to belly, shoulder to shoulder environment. Every salesperson would say, put me across the table from somebody and I'm going to crush it. We all believe that. And it's still true. But now we don't get opportunities to get in front of the table if they go online and look us up and we look like we suck. And it is a huge struggle because like, Kayla, when you tell somebody like, oh my gosh, you don't know Coach Kyle, he is awesome. Like we hung out in LA at an event and he's just a salt of the earth kind of guy. He's funny. And then that person goes and looks me up, and none of my videos are funny. All of my videos are sells. Now your friend thinks you're stupid because you stood up for me and my online presence didn't validate what was true about me in real life. And we've got to bridge that gap and care as much about our presentation on the internet as we care about the way we show up in person.
Well, and I think I love that you say that, because I think people are like, okay, I'm just going to do a reel or a post. I'm just going to post it. And then they leave, but they don't think about those pillars that we've always talked about. What are you posting and why? And
Why?
have to be about sales. I mean, you guys know I post about my dogs all the time.
How dare you? The Great White North, come on.
But I think there's that gap. Maybe you see this often, Kyle, is people are just so focused on posting about their job and that's it. Yeah. And it's like, no, post things about yourself so people get to know you, get to know Kyle and what he's about. Are you witnessing that quite a bit? They get stuck in that, I don't know what to post.
Yeah, because again, we're operating from what can I post to help me sell something?
Yeah.
Right. So when I show up like that, there is no magic bullet to sales. We all know that. So when I bring that question to social media, the answer will always be nothing. Therefore, we're not really sure like what I should be doing. And so what we have to be mindful of is if we were in person, we're going to very quickly identify like what commonality do we have that's going to bridge the gap between just being transactional and being relational. And so in person, that's easy because we will kind of ebb and flow in and out of business talk, personal talk, business talk, personal talk. You're going to mention your dog and I'm going to go, no way, I have a dog. And then all of a sudden, like now we're going to be talking about our dogs for the next 20 minutes. And as weird as it is, we'll leave that better friends because we talked about our dogs than if we would have spent 60 straight minutes talking about the loan products that you have available for me.
Right.
And so literally today, I was on a call with thousands of people and the guy leading the call, he didn't say, hey, Kyle, you're so smart, man. You're so amazing. You're so brilliant. I want you to talk about that. He said, don't forget, because I want you to tell the story of when your dog peed on you during a webinar. That's the story he wanted me to tell because it's relatable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I still find myself around the country when people go, dude, you know how I met you? I was on that webinar where your dog peed on you. And man, that was hilarious.
What happened to Kayla?
If only it could. One can only hope.
That's right. Maybe one.
But that's because let me unpack the power of this. So in this webinar, I talk about our dog. And so in the comments on Zoom, people are like, we want to see Parker. Show us Parker. And Parker has spent years being shunned out of my office, right? She is not allowed in here. I don't want her in here while I'm working. And so now, for the first time in a million times, I'm yelling at her to come in. So she's already like, what's happening? This is weird. This is not what's normal. And so I pick her up. You can't see, but she unleashes 3 days of urine all down my side. My whole body is soaking wet. There is a pool of pee on the floor. My office is starting to smell like pee. Guys, I have 20 minutes left of this webinar. And so this is why I'm telling the story. Because in that moment, our brains are so powerful. Like we can have that internal dialogue, which feels like forever while we're saying other words to people. And so I feel like in a split second in the real world, I have a 30-minute conversation with myself subliminally where I go, okay, bro, what are we doing here? Nobody knows she's done this. So are we going to play this cool, put the dog down, do the rest of this thing soaked in dog pee? Or are we going to use this as a humanizing moment to be like, look what y'all did. Look what y'all did. And I stand up so they can see. And I'm so glad that I didn't try to be the professional, the expert that has everything figured out, and instead chose to be this broken, jacked up dude that let his dog pee. So that was so much better and so much more memorable than me just being a social media expert that has it all figured out. And I always wear my hat forward because that's the professional way to do. And we just spend so much time, guys, like overthinking all of this that no wonder we struggle to come up to a solution with what video to do because we overthink every single aspect of the process. It's wild.
They do. And then you don't post anything. Or there were people, I think, at SocialCon that some of them were saying that they would create videos. And I've seen this in brokerages I've spoken to. They're like, I've done all the videos, but they're all in my drafts because I just they're not perfect. There's issues. I need to redo it. And it's like, no, your imperfections are going to attract people because you're relatable. You're human. You know what I mean? Like, that's what allows you to have that connection with somebody.
As our friend Jeff Fitzer say, now I'm not a cusser, so I'm not going to say it exactly how he says it. But Jeff says, my crappy video will outperform the video you never do every time. Right? And so how many people, like we jumped on here, we're using a platform called Squadcast. I'm a podcaster. I've never used it, but I've heard of it. And so my first question to Skip is like, oh, bro, this is Squadcast. What do you think of it? He's like, it's not like we have to have this willingness to go, you know what? It's not great, but I'm still going to do it. How many people are sitting on a podcast idea because they can't find the perfect platform? They're not sure the perfect microphone. They're not sure which headphones to wear. And while they've spent 6 months thinking about that, y'all have already executed dozens of episodes. That's where most people are stuck.
Well, even like we spoke about before, it's like you don't need fancy cameras. You don't need fancy lights. You don't need a professional videographer. And some of the best, most relatable videos, you guys can probably agree, are just organically from your cell phone. And you just post it when people get caught up in the perfection.
And you know what else we don't need? We don't need a lot of followers.
Agreed.
We are so, like, we're taught, right, that a way to know that your social media works is if you're constantly growing more people. And so we've taken an industry like real estate and mortgage that, like, you know, on the real estate side for sure, you're 20 transactions away from that being a legit full-time job making good money.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're going to come to my event and you're going to ask me this. Hey, Kyle, how do I get more followers? To which I'm going to go, how many Facebook friends do you already have? 1,100. How many Instagram followers do you have? 400. How many, whatever. Those numbers are already so much bigger than the amount of transactions that person is trying to do. Yet some expert somewhere has told them, you got to get to 10,000 followers, man. You got to. And so we let ego completely take over. And we're convincing these people that, like, until you get to 10,000 followers, you're a loser. When if you sold 30 houses, your life would change forever. And those transactions already exist inside of the people group you already have. And so freaking show up. And it drives me absolutely nuts.
I'm hearing efficiency and effectiveness over quantity, quality over quantity, right?
100%. But we could also argue the other side, Skip. Right?
But
I could just say, dude, just freaking throw crap out there. Like, let's just give us a ton of attempts, right? Like if I'm teaching one of my kids how to play golf, I'm going to just get them swinging. Let's start swinging the golf club, right? And as you swing more times, we're going to tweak this and shift this and move your feet this way and put the ball at a different position in your stance and shorten or elongate your backswing. I'm not going to take you to school and teach you how to have a good swing without a club in your hands. And so I think the journey, Skip, is quantity first to get to quality later. Because when I get fixated on quantity now, I suck. I watch some of the videos Kayla does. I don't know how to edit that stuff like that. And so if I'm not careful, I'm like, well, if I can't do it like her, I guess I'm not going to do it. That's a lot of that's their mindset.
Yeah.
It is. And I think a lot of people, they get in that mindset of, okay, I did one video and it only got 2 likes. I'm never doing it again. And it's like, okay, but just because people aren't liking it or sharing it doesn't mean it's not being seen. And I think of realtors out there, they have no problem knocking on strangers' doors, but they have an opportunity to post and reach thousands with a 10-second post. It doesn't have to be long or complicated. It can be short and sweet. And in my opinion, I think it's a lot easier than door knocking. But
imagine if for either one of you, right? Imagine if I call and I'm like, hey, I've got an opportunity. There's going to be 100 people in a room that are your ideal client. It's 10 minutes from your house. Could you go present to them? You're going to go, duh.
mm-hmm.
What time do you need to be there? Right? You're ready to go. But all of a sudden, you get 100 views on a video and you're like, I'm a loser. Nobody likes me.
Mm-hmm.
That Kyle guy's an idiot. I can't believe I did this. And so I don't know how this happened, but it's the same thing, right? Like 100 people is
I really like that
100
analogy.
people.
I really like that.
It's 100 people, right? And so then you're lucky and you get 1,000 views. Could you imagine the nerves that would come along with walking on stage in front of 1,000 people? It would be horrifying to most people, but we can do that over and over again through social media. And so we've got to let go of this mindset of like, well, that person got 10,000 views or that person got 50,000 views. And so my 250 views, God, what a loser I am.
Well, I think it boils down to really two main things. Going back to what we mentioned before, why are you posting? Like, what's your goal, man? But then also the other one, just kind of bigger picture, just life in general. Worry less about what others are doing and worry more about what you're doing. So
100%.
very hard to do on social media because it lends itself, like Kayla said earlier, to constant comparison. But if you take a little bit more of a myopic view and look at yourself, I think that will lend itself to a little bit more enthusiasm to get out there.
Well, I wanted to show the book, but it's under other books and I don't want a disaster to take place on my desk.
Oh, God, that'd be great if you pulled a book out and I hear about you crashing in the background.
Yeah, well, you would. And it might wake up our baby and then my wife will be mad at me.
Can't do that.
And so I'm just you just have to imagine. But my favorite book is called Steal Like an Artist. And in the book, we've all heard rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
Like we've all heard that. I don't love that because that's negative. And I don't want to live with myself saying like, yeah, I ripped Kayla off. I ripped Skip off. Yes. But he says, celebrate and copy. And this is kind of what we talked about a little bit in Ed's episode on my podcast. No one's ideas are original anymore. No one's ideas. The Bible 2,000 years ago said there's nothing new under the sun. That was pre-internet. And they were already saying that. And so at the rate in which things are happening, there's only original people left. So an old idea through an original person will feel like a new idea. And so what I try to help people adopt is the celebrate what you see other people do and then copy it for yourself. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I would be encouraging like any lender that loves dogs should do exactly what you do for content. And at first it will feel like, well, I'm just copying, but you're not them and they're not you.
Yeah.
And so we could tackle the same concept from multiple directions and it'll feel like completely different videos. And so I think that'll help you be less discouraged when you celebrate and copy versus, oh man, I wanted to do a video about that, but now I can't because so-and-so already did it. And we're just overthinking it. And so I want us to, can I give us a superpower?
Please do. Power us up, buddy.
So I love to tell people that like my only superpower, I don't have any of the cool ones, right? I can't fly. I can't punch through walls. I can't be invisible, but I do have the ability to care more about helping people than I care about looking stupid. And so when you, Skip, talk about what's your why, I show up online every day with the desire to help someone's life be better. And that could be through them becoming a new client of mine. But that could be that you're having a rough day. And this morning I did a reel about candy corn and it made you laugh. And that it was all it took for you to rebound and have a little bit better day than you were earlier. And so when my why is about serving you, I'm more willing to step into discomfort. I'm willing to let the dog pee on me. I'm willing, like I'm willing to show up on a webinar with thousands of people as the only one dressed in a costume. Why? Because if that's what it takes to be memorable for people, I'm going to do it. And I think that's where people like, they have to shift. If most people are like, well, man, I'm really just on social media because of business. And like people tell me that I can get more business there. And so that's why I show. That person's never going to get any business there. We've got to create opportunity and possibilities for others. And so that's my superpower that I think anybody can tap into.
I love that. Do you think that people are in professions where they feel like they need to come off very professional?
Yes.
So they want to show their true character? Because even I feel that sometimes. I'm like,
mortgage and banking, come on.
Yeah,
Banking, we take ourselves a little too serious.
a little bit. But then
I don't know the same bankers as y'all do. Every banker I know is so fun and full of joy. And
joy, yes.
Exuberance. I love it. No, I just think there's some people though I've looked at. Actually, I brought this up to you, Skip, the other day. I said, part of me doesn't want to be that goofy because I want to be seen as professional. But then I'm also like, that's not really Kayla. That's always on professional. And I think some people like me sometimes let that get in the way. And I think what I'm hearing you say is it's okay. It's okay to be organically yourself and goofy and silly and
especially right. And Kyle, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, like, cause I love your opinion, especially if, again, why are you getting out there on social media? Why are you doing this? One of the reasons is to play on the law of familiarity. The more someone gets to see you, the real you, the more likely they are to connect with you. So what's going to happen if you put forth an incorrect image, like you said earlier, on social media, then they meet you and you're complete and total opposite or done. Right. It's going to be like, oh, right. Well, because then it comes off as disingenuous, and that's not what we want. We want people to get to know us.
Here's the beauty of this conversation. Like you said, correct me if I'm wrong. There is no wrong. The only wrong is your unwillingness to show up as yourself. Right. So if I'm wearing my Bowser mask,
which you should do, by the way,
at the start of a video, if I had a mic like on my chin, I'd wear it the whole time, but the audio will be great. But like for anybody that would watch that and go, yeah, that doesn't feel professional. Screw that person. I don't care. Like I'm not doing this for them.
Yeah. They're not going to work well with you anyway.
Yeah. The same person that goes, oh, you're in a hoodie and a backwards hat. Yeah. Like I'd rather you be in a dress shirt. Cool. Thanks for letting me know now you're not for me. And
which ironically, I've got on a dress shirt and I usually have on a hoodie.
Or a banana costume.
Right.
Which you showed us earlier. So I think like now, because of social media, we just have the ability to get to know the full person faster. And I think that's where the discomfort is, because in the 90s, we would meet like this. Nice to meet you. I'm Kyle Draper and I own this company. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Kayla and I'm a mortgage banker. And then over time, 6 months in, like I see your dog and you see mine. And then 6 more months later, you're on a boat and I'm like, oh, no way, we have a boat. But because of the lack of technology, it just took a long time to ramp that up. Well, now I have the opportunity to just go, here's all that I am and take it or leave it. I talk about God when I speak. There's people that don't love that. That's fine. They can go find a more boring social media expert that hates Jesus, right? Like we have the ability to go find what we like. And so the hard part with all of this, though, is in order to give you everything that I am, I have to be okay with who I am. And that's the other hard part.
Well, you also have to know who you are.
100%. So the therapist, that's why I have to be a therapist. Even I'm unlicensed. So let's get that out there.
That's right. One thing I wanted to ask you, Kyle, was you've written this amazing book, Rethink Everything About Social Media. So what was the driving force behind it? Are you coaching people on it? Are you finding people are finding certain nuggets that they love? Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah. So Kayla, thank you. You've been a huge supporter of me and my book. And so I so appreciate you for that. I had no desire to write a book. It was not on my bucket list. I've never considered myself smart enough or to have known enough for someone to want to read it on a page. And so I think the reason it's good is because I didn't try to make it good. I just wanted it to be me. And so I wrote it on the balcony of our hotel room in Cancun last November and finished it once I got back. And the response has just been unbelievable because it's just real and raw. I had a couple people, y'all may know who Coach Bill Hart is, who, if you don't know Coach Bill Hart, he's like one of the biggest mortgage coaches on the planet. He wrote the foreword to my book. I asked him to edit it. And on his first email back to me, I had to apologize because I said, I made a mistake. You're too smart. I would never say the things that you asked me to edit. And so I'm going to politely refuse to do what I asked you to do for me because I wanted it to be me. And I don't know big words. I never won the spelling bee. Like, I'm a very normal dude that just happens to love people. And so that was really the biggest premise for me. There's nothing that would be up there with rocket science in the pages of my book. But I think most of the time, like, our lives are so fast. It's the practical things we already knew that we're not actually doing that will help us the most. It's not the big, profound idea. It's the subtle reminder of like, hey, Skip, remember how good things were when you used to do that one simple task?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done that in 3 years. Duh. Why don't you start doing that again instead of go try to learn something new? And so from all of this, guys, I just created this yesterday. I'm launching what I'm calling Rethink Everything Bootcamp. And it's a 90-day jumpstart to help people be better at social media. So it's not an ongoing coaching program. It's just a 90-day thing. So I can punch you in the mouth over and over again for 90 days and you'll come out of it than somebody that just passively says that they want to get better at social media and it takes them 5 years. And so I'm super excited about it. God told me I'm going to write 10 books. And so I have no idea what the other 9 are going to be about, but this is just the beginning for whatever is going to come from it. So we'll see.
Well, and let me backtrack. You said you wrote this in November of last year?
Yeah.
Didn't it get published and everything in April?
In April. Yeah.
And this is a testament to you when you say, my video that I post that's crappy is going to outperform the one you never did. You're a prime example of someone that you maybe didn't feel qualified. You didn't feel it was a perfect book and et cetera. And you just created this book that what I love about it is it's so simple and people love that. There's so much going on in the world. You're an example of someone that did the darn thing.
Well, thank you. And it's because I'm all about the marathon, right? Fat people aren't sprinters. And so fat people don't run marathons either. So this is a horrible analogy, but I just knew if I'm going to write 10 of these, the first one's probably going to be the worst one.
There you go.
And so let's go. I can't get to 2 without going through 1. I can't get to 6 without going through 5. And so like, what are we waiting for? Yeah. This is why for people that listen to this episode, like if they would just decide for video specifically, don't even worry about social media. The fear comes with people seeing it. And so if we would just partner up, if Skip, you and I were both afraid of this stuff. And so I just said, hey, for the next 30 days, let's send each other at least 1 video a day. On the surface, that sounds stupid, but we're still working the muscles that it requires to be good at video. I'm still overcoming the fear of having to look at my own face when I'm recording, right? And so in the span of time that it takes you to record a video a week for a month, you did 4 videos. Skip and I did 30. Who comes out of that on top? I think Skip and I do.
Absolutely.
And so practice in private. Download the Marco Polo app, which is video walkie-talkie, and just pick a friend and go, hey, I know this is weird. I've told my wife this before. Hey, every time you text me, I'm going to send you a video back because it helps me practice video. And this is how we ultimately position ourselves to win.
I love that.
And that's in the book.
I love it.
So I'll give you guys a discount now if you choose to buy it because I just stole a chapter.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right here. I got
there. It is.
Honestly, what I love about this, though, you guys, is like, look at this for people watching. It's like, there's like illustrations. It's simple. And
I love it. It's about that.
I do too. It's
Skip.
and
this
it's
is basically an adult coloring book. It's
good.
awesome. It's awesome.
with a couple tips in the middle.
I'm not opposed to that. Let me see here. Because when I'm on conference calls, I usually do.
Oh my gosh.
If I'm on a long conference call to keep my attention span, I've got to do something with my hands.
Dude,
I will-
that is
I will-
next level.
I will talk. I don't rustle. I don't rustle the pieces. Oh yeah. So blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm got to do it.
That's
None
why
of
your
them.
angle. That's why more of your body isn't in the frame right now, because you've got to have ample space to
Building.
build your Star Wars figures.
Uh-huh.
It's all making sense.
Oh wow. All makes sense, Skip.
It's unbelievable. I would have no clue what's going on in the meeting if I were down here building something.
Well, for me, it's brainless.
That just shows how much smarter you are than me.
Let's not get carried away.
I love it. Kyle, as we wrap this up, well, first, thank you for being here, because you've
course,
given
yes.
so many nuggets of gold to our listeners. And I think anyone that's listening is going to gain something from this. But where can our followers, our audience, find you? If they were to say, okay, I want to go find Kyle, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you, find you, learn about you?
I am Coach Kyle Draper everywhere on social media. My website's kyledraper.com. Between one of those places, you'll find me.
They will find you. Yeah.
I answer my own stuff. I'm not using bots. I'm not using other humans. So any way I can help or serve, guys, reach out to me.
Love
I
it.
really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you. We'll see you again soon, I'm very sure. And we're excited to see what you do next and your other books to come.
Thank you.
Right. He's going to do the same book, versions 1 through 10.
Perfect.
You say that, but that's kind of one of my ideas. I'll share that with you off the air.
There you go. Oh, well, thank you again, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Kyle.
Thanks, guys.